channel. Anyway, so I just had to comment on this latest remark by Prince Harry, which was just staggeringly ignorant and revealed his class blindness yet again. So he was on social media today, giving his sage advice to people who don't like their jobs: just give up work. Now, it could be he wants them to find a job that they find more fulfilling. So this is his ingenious solution to people's workplace unhappiness. Now, work is called work for a reason. It's not called fun. Work is a four-letter word. So very, very few people enjoy every minute of it. There's always going to be some drudgery. I think, like, if you're Maria Sharapova, a tennis star, there might be some bits of coaching she doesn't like, or some pleasures she's got to forego in order to be in shape for playing. Or actors, they might find the odd rehearsal tedious, or whatever your job is, there are bits of you don't like. Not that I'm a full-time YouTuber. I know it would be hard to believe, but there are aspects of YouTubing that I don't find entirely agreeable. But such is life. But that's obviously a bit different if you come from the most privileged family on the planet. And, talk about born with well, in this case, a diamond-encrusted spoon in your mouth, Harry. It's okay for you when there's a sovereign grant of £80 million a year, and you get a cut of that, as well as family wealth amassed over centuries, some of which goes back to slavery, Harry. And if you find that so outrageous, why don't you give back some of your unearned wealth to the descendants of the victims of servitude, and then you could disenthrall them all these centuries later by making that reparatory payment. But no, he's not offering any assistment out of his own pocket. He shan't compensate these people pecuniarily, nor offer an apology. Anyway, so there he is, preaching at us from his $14 million hacienda in California. Anyway, he had to leave his previous role in the royal family. He decided, due to the lack of support and understanding from the royal family, well, they did support him in all sorts of ways, but I can see how they generally failed to understand his antics. And you see, he's just this ventriloquist dummy for woke warriors. He's now Chief Impact Officer of Better Up, this mental health startup company. Now, I know mental health is a real thing. People have recognised that there can be mental ill health going back to ancient Greece. But now mental ill health is used for being a little bit stressed, a little bit down in the mouth. Such are the vagaries of life that sometimes things won't go entirely your way, and you'll be a little bit upset or feel somewhat dispirited. Hello, yes, His Royal Highness, he just can't help himself. And rather than manning up and saying, well, we've got to be a bit resilient to get over this, is to really go to town on this one and throw yourself on the ground and start frothing at the mouth or something like that, and ham it up and make it out to be even worse than it is. I realise there's some people who genuinely do need to seek help, but seems to me we're creating a sort of mental health pandemic for ourselves by being mental health, what would it be, hypochondriacs. A bit of a Munchausen's syndrome for mental health is coming. A tsunami of cases of people thinking they're mentally ill as a way of not facing up to their own shortcomings, or they're just not in the right job, whatever it is. Anyway, so Prince Harry is there at the beginning of the mental health awakening, as he said, which is really encouraging people to think that they're afflicted with some derangement of the mind when they're not, when they're a bit stressed out, when they're having a fit of the blues, and to be hyperbolic about the vicissitudes of life. And there will be melancholy circumstances time to time. So he says he's continuing to pioneer the conversation. It's just achingly woke. Did he really write all this stuff himself? I'm not sure he did. I mean, well, I can tell he didn't because it's spelled correctly. And then one of the Twitter users saying, oh, he's so much more intelligent than his elder brother, Prince William. Well, that's objectively bogus. Look at the empirical evidence. There's an evidentiary basis for saying William's rather more intelligent. Look at their A-level results. And Prince William's got his degree in history of art from St Andrews University, one of the UK's better seats of learning. It's in the top 10. Harry appears to behave in the manner of a man-child. Yes, Serene Sapphire. He's entitled, literally entitled, and just self-indulgent, with prone to throw tantrums as well. Well, in defence, do you what makes you happy job-wise has been around a long time before Prince Harry was born. Yeah, hey, exactly. Do a job you like and you'll never work a day in your life. So saith the ancient proverb from Cathay. So it's easy for him to say this, that people should just walk out of jobs that they're not happy with. So, what are ordinary people to do? I mean, you've got to pay the bills. How are you going to put food on the table? I mean, does he think his cleaners all enjoy their jobs? I mean, and the people who repair the roads are things he rely on. Do they always enjoy that? Do the gardeners all enjoy it? I mean, does he pay them well above minimum wage? I would dearly like to know. And so he's benefited from this all his life. And how about people who pick the fruit that he eats? Should they stop doing that? My God. Now, some people have accused him of never having had a job in his life, but that's not fair. He was an army officer for 10 years. He did fight in Afghanistan, so he walked the walk on that one. I don't think the army gave him a particularly easy ride. So that was one thing he's fairly successful at. Having said that, Harry probably doesn't pay. I bet Charlie does it. Well, he was whining at the age of, was it 36? His father cut himself off without a penny. He was shocked at 36 he might actually have to earn a living because, yeah, he got his army officer's salary, but I'm sure he spent far beyond that. He cannot relate or wants to. Talk about class blindness. It's even worse than what his uncle Prince Andrew said in that infamous interview 2 years ago. It was a shooting weekend, a perfectly normal shooting weekend. Yeah, because for Joe Common, inviting people to a palace to go shooting for a weekend is normal, just like staff keeping up their jobs in. So, now Prince Harry, the thing is, he wouldn't have got in to be an army officer with someone else. Wendy Sulphur, okay, you're not commenting. Someone with dreadful A levels, and his art teacher cheated for him. She actually recorded the conversation with him. This all came out in court about an industrial tribunal when she was sacked over an unrelated matter, and he wasn't found to have cheated. His grade ought to have been rescinded. And what else did he do wrong? Apart from cheating his A levels, he wouldn't have been allowed into the army officer with dreadful A levels. You'd only be a genius to be an army officer, but you need to be academically average, which he wasn't, despite superb schooling. And everybody knew he was the class clown at Eton, right? I've never met him, but I do know people who knew him. Just like their staff keeping up their jobs, okay? So, what else? And wearing that swastika armband to that New Year's party. Yeah, did in 2004 New Year's Eve. Now, I didn't think that was that bad. I don't remotely suspect he's a Nazi. I think he thinks, well, the New Year's party, you've got a license to make a fool of yourself. And I agree. Something was judged a bit too harshly on that one. And when he was in the army making racialist remarks, which are then recorded and played, for which he's completely impenitent, he thinks anyone who said anything which is unwoke ought to be cast out into the outer darkness. And there can be no forgiveness and no second chances and no rehabilitation. As for sexual harassment, here's the guy who showed his penis to young women in Las Vegas. And that's a crime. You could be sent to jail for that. Yeah, he called someone a P. He called someone this racist epithet. Now, apparently that young man is okay with it and just accepted that as repartee. But these days, there is no persiflage. And even if the person who was called that thing doesn't take umbrage, no, the law has to step in and say that's incitement to racial hatred. He'd probably be cashiered for saying that now if he's in the army these days. And I think everybody's made plenty of mistakes. I mean, I think he should be forgiven for that. But he shouldn't then go on to be the high priest of political correctness and so moralistic and so judgmental as he is now. I don't like this Manichaean attitude of those who are PC and those who run PC are just downright filthy, evil racialists. Anyway, so most people don't have the luxury of being able to walk out a job, and you do jobs you don't really like. And I stayed in jobs that I loathe because that is the harsh reality. You've got to put bread on the table, especially when you've got 2 children. So it's very easy for him, who can trade in his image, who can exploit his regal status to get these jobs. Chief Impact Officer. Who on earth thinks he would have got anything like that job if he was just Joe Average, who'd been in the army for a few years, who had no degree, no cachet, and since they left the army several years ago, not worked a stroke? Come on. Anyway, so that's the Great Resignation. So then Prince Harry, it's hilarious. I got to hand it to him when he's very droll, even unwittingly, because of course he's got such insights. He can really help the average person because he knows what it's like to do a job you don't like. Anyway, and that's what Better Up is like. So obviously Better Up has got a vested interest in persuading great swathes of people that they're suffering mental ill health, because then you need to access the sort of services they're offering. So Prince Harry is talking twaddle. This really is woke gobbledygook, no doubt crafted for him by his Lady Macbeth of a wife who got her manicured talons into him long ago. What a dupe he is! How vacuous! Well, this empty-headed youth is really being played for a fool, and he looks more and more of a chump every day. Anyway, that's my take on things. Yes, Prince Twaddle. Okay, so I'm going to sign off now. Goodbye, everyone.